As of late, I've been looking into some of the history of Framingham, Mass. And things that happen around the time that I'd be at my aunt's and things. This happened in September 1963. 1963 seems to be a pivotal year as of the death of Kennedy and the big fire at the coal place. But this is a story about Stanley Garfield, and he was arrested for murdering his mother, who was Ruth, and she was a first grade teacher at a memorial school in Framingham. I do not remember that name, but that's where I went. And he also killed his brother John, who was 9 at the time. He was AWOL at the time, and he had hitchhiked from California to Framingham, where he had into an argument with his mother about a recent marriage to another woman, and he was angry, and he killed her with a nylon stocking and a Venetian cord to tighten around her neck. The fourth grader came home having no idea what was going on, and he turned around and strangled him manually. His father came home and was met at the door by him, and he had no idea what was going on. He said, "What's going on? What are you doing here?" He thought his son was in California in the Navy, and there was a little scuffle, and he shot him in the lung. And his father asked him, "Would you please, please call an ambulance?" And he just took $100 out of his father's wallet and stole a family station wagon and took off for Maine. Now, his father was a 43-year-old personal executive at the Polaroid plant in Waltham, and they lived in Ridgefield, a nice part of Framingham, and when his father asked him what was wrong, he had said he was sick. Well, he was sick, mentally. A neighbor from across the street, John Webb, heard the call for help and rushed over. He found Garfield in a state of collapse, and inside the house were the bodies of Mrs. Garfield and the boy. The boy and the mother were found with plastic bags over their heads. The story is that the police started immediately searching for him, and they called an ambulance for the father. And as Robert Garfield started leaving, he picked up another sailor that was hitchhiking, a man by the name of Charles Radovich of Pennsylvania, who was stationed at the Brunswick Naval Station. He was with him when the team was captured, and they were captured at a roadblock on Route 1 in Scarborough, Maine. He had lived in the Portland area previously. He said that they talked to Radovich, and he said that he talked like a normal man, but they found a shotgun that had been used on his father on the floorboard of the car. They extradited him to Massachusetts, and Garfield gave no reason why the slayings had been done, but it stemmed from something that had been reaching the boiling point for years. The neighbor said that there was been a family argument over a marriage a month ago to the former Lynn Pero 20, a medical secretary who was seen crying in a parked car just outside the courtroom during their arraignment. He didn't want to see her, and it was when they asked him if he felt any remorse for it, Garfield said, "Hell no." He later said, "I don't feel regretful. There's no reason to regret it." He said, "I didn't know why he went AWOL." He also said he considered himself a religious person. When asked by newsmen why he strangled his mother, "That's not a sensible question. I don't know. Perhaps something snapped." Commenting on the crime, "I know what I did, and I'll take my medicine." He said he hated his parents because they never let him do anything for himself. He said he killed his brother so he wouldn't have to face the same problem. He was described as a tanned and slender-fingered teenager who chatted willingly with newsmen. On the first day of the trial in April 1964, Middlesex Superior Court, he pleaded guilty to second-degree murder in the deaths of his mother and brother. Judge Thomas Springs sentenced him to life in prison at Walpole State Prison. He also pled guilty to the charge of assault with attempt to murder against his father and received 15 more years. After being shot, Garfield was taken to Framingham Union Hospital where he underwent surgery. Following several hours of the operation, he was placed on the danger list, but later was okay. Tomasini of the Framingham Historical Society and Stanley Garfield says that Stanley Garfield's name does not appear in the Massachusetts Offenders Locator website. Mr. K couldn't track him down either. They only found one reference to Stanley Garfield, other than those pertaining to the murders listed in the 1925 to 1993 U.S. Public Directory. Lynn Pero Garfield could also not be located. She was working in a doctor's office in Framingham at the time of the murders. Robert Garfield remarried and died in Framingham in 2002. According to his obituary, it makes no mention of his first wife or his son. So that was a very sad case. Thank you for listening.